So, as you can see, I now have everything dolled up. I've got everything named. My higher button is BTN higher, my the same button is BTN same, the part where I put my rules is LBL rules, etc., etc. But of course, if I were to start this, well, it doesn't matter what I do, nothing's actually going to happen, because I haven't put any code on it yet. So, beforehand, when we had to double-click buttons in order to open up code, in this time, we're not going to put the code on the button. We're going to put the code on the form, on the very first thing when it loads. So, to do that, because we want something to happen right when it opens up, I want this number to become a random number. So to do that, instead of double-clicking a button or a label or whatnot, I'm just going to click the form itself, double-click it, and we have this area for, whatever you named your form, underscore load, and the handles are the load. So from anything between the start of that sub to the end of that sub is what's going to happen at the very first bit of the code. The very start of when the program opens, it will do something. So that's what the load is for. It'll only happen once. It'll happen at the very start of the program. And I'm going to do something. Now, remember, we're going to now declare in memory a new variable. We're going to make a new bucket. We're going to make a space for the computer to remember something. And whatever we name it is what we're going to have to name it throughout the rest of the thing. Now, for those of us that are in C#, you'll just have to go something like, maybe string, whatever you call it, semicolon. Or if it's an integer, integer, whatever you want to call it, semicolon. But for those of us that are in Visual Basic, we just need to DIM, which is declare in memory. And then, whatever it is you want to name the item, I'm going to name mine dice. And it's going to be as... Now, here's the thing. We want this to be a new random, because it's going to be a random number. So we aren't going to decide what it is. We can decide the constraints of it, but we can't decide exactly what it is. It'll be random. Now, there actually is no such thing as a truly random number in a computer. No matter how complex it is, there is always some sort of pattern, whether it be milliseconds or whatever, but that's beyond the point. We're just assuming that this is a totally random number. And then we're going to follow this up with, oops, nope, don't want that. Don't want message box, you clicked me. I thought I copied something else. Oh, well, I'll just type it in there. Because we're going to need another new dim as well. Because while we have a random, I'm going to now also make a dice roll. Or, dice throw or whatever. Because I'm going to make a new roll as integer equals dice.next, and then what is it going to be from? Well, how many sides of dice are there? There's 1 through 6, right? So basically, what that means is I've labeled something as dice, and it's a random, and now I'm going to have another roll, a roll of that dice, which is going to be a new random number because it's dice, but it's the next roll of dice, and it's constrained between 1 and 6. So, we'll figure that out, and then I'm going to just put it somewhere. I'm going to put, let's see here, what did I name this? LBL, yep, LBL, and I see this is also why naming conventions is good, because once I typed in LBL, I have since I had similar naming conventions, they all popped up for me. I didn't have to worry about one being named avocado, one being named blue, one being named platypus, and then trying to figure out which one was what. So I'm going to put this on LBL number here. LBL number, but what do I want of it? I want the text. LBL number.text equals, equals dice roll. There we go. So now, when I start this, you see how I have a new random, and then I did a roll. I saved a new integer that was going to be one of the random numbers this guy picks, and then I'm going to put that random number that it picked on my label. So when I start this, what I have here is but instead of being a 0, it was a 1. Now if I do this again, let me start this again. Instead of being a 1, let's see what else it picks for us. Now it's a 4. You see, it's picking a different random number on the load. Now, of course, I can't click anything yet. If this only happens once, it only happens on the load. So, now let's actually go and start having stuff happen when we click on the buttons.